Live.
Alright, today we're going to learn 3 new academic vocabulary words. I'm going to give you this graphic organizer. We're going to fill it out in small groups and independently. When I pull these words up, you are going to fill out the definition one at a time. This is your first one, obviously. So each person will have 3 of these graphic organizers. What were you saying now?
Repeat that for the camera.
Yeah, everyone gets 3. Why? Because there's 3 words. And once you get it, go ahead and write this first one in the box. The middle is where you put the actual word. Where it says define is where you're going to be putting the definition.
And then we do the rest.
And then I will give you instruction on the rest in 2 seconds. Does anyone have any questions so far? This is your first word. We're going to go through, look at all 3 words and their definitions before we move on. So once you get them, fill out the definition and the word, and we'll move on. Alright, first word, cultural conflict. A struggle that occurs when people with different cultural expectations or attitudes interact. The conflito cultural. You can write that in the middle as well if you like. If that helps. Yes, it is in Spanish. So be thinking of examples as well as we go. In a minute, I'm going to ask you to get in your small groups and come up with examples together. So this unit is all about conflict. For the rest of it, we'll be viewing a movie shortly and analyzing different cultural conflicts, external and internal. Can I move on to the next word?
I just wrote it in Spanish.
No, it was
Almost there?
yeah.
Okay. Need a pencil?
Really? Are we gonna cover the examples and stuff too?
Yes. So I'm going to get you in your small groups. You're going to come up with your examples, and then we're going to talk about it as a class together. The next 2 definitions are a lot shorter, so go ahead and get this one done. We'll move on. Can I move on?
Yeah.
Yes? Excellent. We will discuss these in more detail here in a second. External conflict. It's your next one. So on the second graphic organizer that I've given you, go ahead and fill out external conflict, a struggle between a person and an outside force. Conflicto externo. Can anyone explain that definition real quick? A struggle between a person and an outside force. What would an outside force be?
Something that affects you that has to do with your life, but not you.
Exactly, right. So an external cultural conflict, an external factor in your life would be what? If it doesn't directly deal with your culture or your family, but is a part of your life.
School.
School. Good. Teachers, right? They have an impact on your life in one way or another, but we're not directly in your culture or your family. Do you want to have any questions about this one? Can I move on to the last one?
Yes.
Yes? Awesome. Here's our last one. Internal conflict. Psychological struggle within the mind of an individual. Conflicto interno is the Spanish translation. Psychological struggle within the mind of an individual. Somebody want to explain that to me? Psychological struggle within the mind of an individual. What is psychological? Psychological within the mind. Right. It's in your head. It's a struggle with yourself. Maybe a struggle with your identity. Your self-identity. Maybe a struggle with whether or not you want to break up with your girlfriend. You're not going to voice that to your girlfriend. You're going to talk about it with yourself. Should I weigh out the pros and cons? She's cute. She's kind of mean. She's not real bright. She's fun. Right? Internal conflict. Psychological struggle within the mind of an individual. Alright, once we've gotten this done, these defined and the words in the middle, when you get in your small groups, the two people you're sitting next to, 3, I want you to take 2 minutes. 2 minutes to come up with as many examples as you possibly can for each. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay. Actively discussing these examples. Does anyone have any questions before I run the timer? Okay. So go one at a time. First, cultural conflict. Come up with an example together. Second, external. Come up with one example. Third, internal. One example. And keep going in circles until the timer goes off. Any questions? Okay, I'm going to run the timer. Ready? Set. Go.
Maybe language, cultural conflict. That'd be one of the ones. Language difference. ¿Y pensamiento de tus culturas?
For example, how you dress. Yeah. So like
1 minute.
Let's move to external conflict.
Make sure you have at least one for each. I know it's fast, but we're going to talk about it all together.
Let's do.
what you eat. No, you
Family.
no, pero your accent and like national
Yeah, family.
how you talk.
That's a better way of doing it.
People. How you dress, how you talk.
About 10 seconds. Try and finish one more off.
I put that.
How you dress. What you eat.
All right. Heard some great discussion.
No.
Now let's talk about some examples, please. Whoop. Okay, examples of cultural conflict. What do we have?
Language.
Language. So what kind of sense?
Like your accent.
So,
Come from
Pronunciation.
okay, pronunciation,
How you
accents,
dress. How you dress.
how you dress, how you present yourself. Okay, so language barriers, this looks like when we were going to that first one. How can language barriers cause cultural conflict?
Because they don't understand each other, maybe?
So you don't understand each other, so a lack of communication can cause a conflict in some way, right?
Yeah.
Good. Any other examples?
religion.
Religion. Good. Give me an example specifically.
The beliefs aren't the same.
Jews versus Nazis.
Good. Holocaust. Perfect, Alex. Nazi Germany. And Jewish community. Perfect. Both excellent examples. Now let's move on to the next one. External.
Relationships.
Okay. Good. What, in terms of relationships, what specifically?
I guess it would affect you emotionally. So
Okay.
I don't understand.
So relationships, so when you and your mother have an argument, how would that be an external conflict?
Because you're thinking to yourself.
External. So if you're having an internal conflict with something that your mother's doing, that's something you're keeping to yourself. But an external conflict, in terms of relationship with your mother, it would be more of an argument, right? Because it's an outside force if you look at your definition, right? So arguing with family members,
I guess it does take two for it to be external.
right? Any more examples? One more? So we have relationship, family conflicts, being external, is that? Friends, absolutely. So, like we were saying earlier, boyfriend and girlfriend. Fighting about stupid stuff, right?
Role models. I don't know because I don't have a girlfriend.
Oh, I'm sorry, bud. All right, last one. Internal. Let's get a couple examples of internal, and then I'm going to direct you in the sentence box.
Home life.
Home life? How so?
In the sense that, like, it could affect you emotionally, so it could,
The problems you have in your house.
yeah, it could cause you, like, personal problems.
Good. Family problems. How can these cause internal conflict? What would these home life, family problems, what kind of conflict would that create in your mind?
Depression.
Psychological.
Psychological, like what?
Stress.
Stress, psychological stress. Why would it stress you out?
Because
You have they gave you too much.
Okay.
You're too young.
maybe whatever.
Too young, family pressures.
Yeah.
Maybe it's causing you to be depressed because
Okay.
I don't know.
So, what kind of things do teenagers do when they have these home life problems and these family problems that cause anger and depression?
Run away.
Run away. So an internal conflict in terms of home life and family problems and depression and anger,
For suicide.
okay, would be, do I run away?
That's like depression.
Suicide? These are very intense internal conflicts,
I'll just play a sports with you.
but internal conflicts all the same. Okay? Good work.